असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Om. May the Divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace.
Today we will chant Shri Vishwanathashtakam. Gangatarangaramaniya jatakalapam Gauri nirantara vibhushita vamabhagam Narayana priyamanagamadapaharam Varanasi purapatim bhaja Vishwanatham Vachamagocharamaneka gunaswarupam Vagisha Vishnu Surasevita Padapitham Vamena Vigraha Varena Kalatravantam Varanasi Purapatim Bhaja Vishwanatham Bhutadipam bhujagabhushana bhushitangam Vyagrajinambaradharam jatilam trinetram Pashankushabhayavara pradashulapanim Varanasi purapatim bhaja Vishwanatham Shitangshu shobhita kirita virajamanam Bhalekshananala vishoshita panchabanam Nagadhiparachita bhasura karnapuram Varanasi purapatim bhaja Vishwanatham Panchananam duritamattamatanga janam Nagantakam manujapungava pannaganam Davanalam maranashoka jarata तेजोमयं सगुणनिर्गुणमद्वितीयम् आनन्दकन्दमपराजितमप्रमेयम् नादात्मकं सकलनिष्कलमात्मरूपम् वाराणसीपुरपतिं भज विश्वनाथम् आशां विहाय परिहृत्य परस्य निन्दां पापेरतिं च सुनिवार्य मनसमाधौ आदाय हृत्कमलमाद्य गतं परेशम् वाराणसीपुरपतिं भज विश्वनाथम् वाराणसीपुरपते स्तवनं शिवस्य व्याख्यातमष्टकमिदं पठते मनुष्यः विद्यां श्रियं विपुलसौख्यमनन्तकीर्तिं वाराणसीपुरपतिं भज विश्वनाथम् वाराणसीपुरपतिं भज विश्वनाथम् वाराणसीपुरपतिं भज विश्वनाथम्.
I am reading from the book Shvetasvatara Upanishad, translated and with notes based on Shankara's commentary by Swami Kripamayananda. This is a chapter 4, verse 21. Rudra, you are immortal, and this is why people frightened by death seek refuge with you. Please turn your gracious face towards me and protect me always. There are some intelligent, discriminating people who know Brahman to be birthless, ajataha. That which is without birth is also without death. In fear, these people take shelter in Brahman. Why are they frightened? Because they know they are going to die. It is a healthy sign when we are aware that this life is only for a while. Most people are not frightened. They are not frightened because they are ignorant. They are happy in the delusion that they will never die. Once, the great king Yudhishthira was asked, "What is the most wonderful thing in this world?" He answered, "The most wonderful thing is that though we see people dying all around us, we think we will never die. This is Maya." There are a few people, however, who recognize that this world is ephemeral, that everything seems to slip through their fingers. They see that time is passing and death is approaching. It may come tomorrow or even today, and they become frightened. They want to know the supreme truth. They want to know how to go beyond death, how to attain that which has neither birth nor death. So they turned to Brahman. Save us, show us the way, how we can get rid of this delusion. Please be kind to us and turn your favorable, joyful face towards us. We are frightened. Please look after us always and protect us. Shankara says that if we meditate on God, His face gives us joy. The more we think of God, the happier we become. So if we propitiate Him, meditate on Him, and adore Him, we will all become filled with joy. The next verse he says, O Rudra, please do not be angry with us and hurt us or our sons and grandsons, even if we are 100 years old. Do not kill our cattle, horses, and our powerful servants. With oblations in hand, we pray to you seeking your protection. Now this verse is somewhat of a contrast. So long our prayer has been for supreme knowledge. Now the prayer is more mundane. The idea is, O Rudra, we may commit mistakes. We may not be able to worship you in the right manner. But please don't take offense. Do not harm our family, our servants, or our property. What do we know about you? We may have unknowingly offended you, but please don't be angry. We offer oblations to please you. Why has the idea of dualism been included here? You see, before we can attain supreme knowledge, we are all on the relative plane and we are conscious that we have a body. That is why we cannot dispense with dualism altogether. If we have been able to overcome our attachment to the body, then we are already free. But if we are still attached to the body, there is no use in pretending that we are one with Brahman. As long as we are on the relative plane, we have to take recourse to dualism, to worship and prayer. But we must remember that our goal is non-dualism. We are using dualism to reach non-dualism. Yes.
Now a short period of meditation. Om Namah Shivaya. Good morning to you all. Today's talk is Shiva the Redeemer. Shiva who grants us the power to go across this ocean of Maya. Shiva who can give us knowledge to become free from bondage of ignorance. He can redeem us, the great power Shiva. Shiva, we all know, is one of the trinity of Hinduism, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, Shiva, Mahadeva, Shankara, many names are there. And the very word Shiva means very auspicious, very good, very friendly, very helpful. That is the meaning of Shiva. Shiva is supposed to be one of the Rudras. So there are in Vedas, there are 11 Rudras or avatars of Shiva. Shiva is one of them, Shambhu. There is Kapali, Pingala, Bhima, Virupaksha, Vilohita, Shastra, Ajapada, Ahirbudnya, Shambhu, Chanda and Bhava. These are the 11 Rudras, they often consider 11 forms of Shiva. So, today I was not going into the Rudra of this, but one prayer that I was read here, Rudrayate Dakshinam Mukham Te Namam Pahi Nityam. Rudra, you have many faces, Panchavakram, Trinetram, Shiva, you have 5 faces, there are 11 forms of Rudra. And some are very ferocious forms, some are protective for others. We may be afraid, which are meant for our protection. But we want to see your benign south-facing form, Rudrayate Dakshinam Mukham, that is benign, loving and kind. Please protect us with that face. Thus remembering that face, we gain the strength and we feel we are protected. Please show us that face. I was thinking, what would be that face like? Rudra's 11 forms of Rudra. What would be that south-facing face of Rudra? Dakshinam Mukham. Then I came to mind, it will be, if we think of God, all love, compassion, kindness, care, and forgiveness, it has to be Sri Ramakrishna's face. That is the Dakshinam Mukham of Rudra. All pure, all kind, all our own. Think of Sri Ramakrishna's face and you feel you are protected. You feel you will be carried over all this Sambhava Samsara. You are redeemed already just by thinking and meditating on that face, you will be redeemed. So, Shiva, as we know in the story of Shiva, how this Shiva is considered as, he is considered as Nataraja, that is most common, the cosmic dancer. He is the lord of all dancers, musicians, they worship Nataraja. When he dances the dance of Nataraja, all this dross and pollution is all gone and all the beauty comes when he dances the dance of Nataraja. There's a sense of Nataraja is there. There's another aspect of Shiva called Pashupati. He is the lord of all souls. Pashu means who are identified with the body. He is the lord of those Dehabhimani who think they are the bodies. In that Pashu, we are also Pashu. It's not the only animals. We are also Pashus till we have the thought that we are bodies. So he is the Lord of all bodies and he will redeem all Pashus. He is the Lord of Pashupati. There is another aspect of Shiva called Dhurjati. Dhurjati means who has jata on his head. So he is meditative, yogi. That concept of Shiva as the yogi, always meditating, as you'll find in the picture here, closed eyes, and this is very common form of Shiva that we like to meditate upon, sitting quietly in the Himalayas, in the secluded place, with Nandi sitting beside it, and Trishula on the ground, and a matted lock in the hair, Ganga flowing through it, and snakes as the ornaments, and he's quiet, in deep meditation, unaware of anything of this world, without any thought of body sense, and mind merged in Brahman. That is the sense of Dhurjati, Mahayogi. That is the Shiva that we mostly worship. So that Shiva, form of Mahayogi Shiva, is often we like to worship in Shiva in that form is most common. There is another aspect of Shiva who was married to Parvati, his householder and married to Parvati. The story goes that gods wanted to fight demons, and no one could, gods were lost. Then how to have the demon, who will equate the demon? Demons have become very powerful. Then they knew that if Shiva and Parvati have a child, Kartikeya or Murugan, then he can fight all the demons out. So how to have Shiva? Shiva is always in meditation. How to make Shiva, and Parvati was meditating to have Shiva, her husband. And then gods wanted them to have a child from Shiva and Parvati. And then finally Shiva was given into the request of God, and he became the householder. There is another aspect of Shiva that is said. And for that, God first, Indra and all that wanted to break his meditation by sending the Cupid or Kamadeva, Eros. And then Eros, the Cupid, made all the things available, and beautiful spring season, flowers, nice weather, flower chirping, and he was shooting the arrows at the show of love. And Shiva was in deep meditation, and when he opened his eyes, he saw Kamadeva dancing. And he was so angry with that, he just opened his third eye. And that Kamadeva burned live and turned into ashes. Now Kamadeva died, lust died, physical passion finished. Then God thought, how the world will have the progeny? This is a big problem. There is something wrong about the Kamadeva, but for most of the progeny to procreate, the world has to procreate to be filled with the species, various species that is there. If there is no Kamadeva, how there will be a procreation? So God requested Rati Devi, Kamadeva's wife, he was disturbing you, sorry, but you killed my husband, now how do I live? Then Shiva pacified. Shiva was angry in a moment, and she is very pleased in another moment. Ashutosa, another aspect of Shiva. He is pleased with little prayer, little offering, little meditation. Om Namah Shivaya, do japam 11 times Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva may come and say, what do you want? There have been so many stories. Some are very impure asuras, Bhasmasura. He just was praying to Shiva, and Shiva came to him. And Shiva said, what do you want? Oh Shiva, I want that I have so much power that wherever I put my hand on whoever's head I put my hand, you will be burned into ashes. Shiva didn't think anything. Ashutosa, Bholanatha. And he just said, okay, that will be done. Now this Asura, Bhasmasura says, let me try whether your boon is right or not. So how will he try? The Shiva was in front of him. Let me put my hand on you and test that your boon is right or not. He was to make Shiva burnt into acid. Now Shiva is running how to save himself. Then went to Vishnu. And Vishnu said, what is the matter? He said, I gave this thing happen, so say you hide, I come to him. Then Vishnu came to him, and Asura was running after him. He said, Asura, what happened? He said, I want to taste, I got boon from Shiva that whomever, on head of whomsoever I put my head, he will be burnt to ashes. And I had Shiva, I was going to test him, but somehow he hid, I don't know, I can't find him. Then Vishnu says, what a fool you are. Why you have to taste on Shiva? You have head, your own head so close, try on your head. And this Asuras are fools, no? They put their own head and burnt himself. So, like that, Shiva sometimes gives that. One Swami Kripamayananda was asked, why Shiva is called Bhola? Bholanath. He's simple. He's guileless. But Kripamayananda's answer was very nice. Bhola is called because he forgets. Bhule jao. He forgets all our mischiefs, all our wrongdoings, and forgets and forgives that. He forgets what wrong we did. He's so compassionate Lord, that's why it's called Bhola. So because he forgets and forgives. It is said that that's why Shiva is said to be destroyer of Kama. Now what happened? Rati Devi prayed to Shiva, make him alive. Shiva said he's now burned. But the Kamadeva's form is gone, but he will not die. He will remain in the mind of the people. So just he was formless, now Kamadeva resides in the mind of the people. So that's how Shiva gives him the boon. Shiva is also said to be is a Mrityunjaya, conqueror of death. There was one young rishi, Markandeya. So his parents prayed to Shiva, and Shiva said, you can have a son, but he will die when he is very young. And when the death came, Markandeya was a great devotee of Shiva. He went and clasped Shiva Linga and prayed to Shiva. And Shiva appeared and told death, don't touch this boy. And they said, Markandeya is living and he was not touched. So it's Mrityunjaya. Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pusti Vardhanam Urvarupame Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Make me free from death, not from immortality, says the prayer. That's about the Mrityunjaya prayer, or Mrityunjaya mantra it is called. So he's conqueror of death, Mrityunjaya. Shiva is also the master of rhythm and music, as I said in Nataraja. Shiva is supposed to be the giver of the knowledge of Sanskrit grammar. This is when he played the Damaru, all the aphorisms that Panini said, it came from the sound of Damaru in his meditation. All these great these discoveries, they all happen, some divine power, something happens, human being goes into some such high state and divine thing comes. You know the story of Ramanujan, his mathematician. He said some mother goddess used to come and tell me the formulae, how it happens. I don't know anything more than that, just it happens. In many cases, some say they happen, others some it reveals, but they are not able to express how did it happen. But Panini said, all my Sanskrit grammars came by the grace of the sound of Damaru of Shiva. Like that, he is also father of the Sanskrit grammar that came from the Damaru of Shiva. Shiva is famous for 3 or 4 many important things. One is drinking of poison. When there was problem in the world, who would redeem? Now poison came after churning the ocean. Now there was no one to protect the world. Poison was so powerful that it would destroy all life in this world. And now Brahma, Vishnu all failed. No Devatas could do anything. Final was Shiva meditating in Kailas. So they ran there and she requested to Shiva. Shiva was nothing. All gods had come to see the churning, and Amrita will come, Airavata will come, and all those good things will come. Birds and all things will come that were many precious things that were unheard of on this earth will all come from the depth of ocean. That was the thought. But they didn't know that poison will come, halahala poison will come. So when this halahala came, who would protect, who would redeem? The Redeemer was Shiva, no one but Shiva. And Shiva said, give me that. The halahala came and he drank that halahala. Now if he would have drunk it fully, because in his belly is the whole world, he is the creation. So he put it on the throat. He didn't let it go and create problem to the universe. But he remained, that poison he could retain in his throat. And the poison was so powerful, even the great god Mahadeva Shiva, his throat became blue. Then he is called Neelakanta because of that. So how he redeems humankind, this message. So Shiva is very famous for saving the world by drinking halahala. Shiva, another famous thing is how he helped Ganga to come to this world. This world, Rama's ancestors had died, and to redeem them, only way was to bring Ganga. If they touch the Ganga water they get, there from ashes they will go to heaven. That was the thing that was told. Otherwise they did some mistake and the whole clan was dead. They were burned to this thing. And one of their ancestors, one of their progeny of those ancestors, some of the kings, not all were dead, but many had come and they died. And from them one was Bhagirath. He said, I have to redeem my ancestors. How to redeem? Only way was to bring Ganga and his ashes should touch the Ganga. And the Ganga flows only in heaven. How would Ganga come to this world, earth? So he had to pray to Ganga, please come to this earth, to Vishnu and Ganga. Ganga comes from the feet of Vishnu. So when prayer was too very austere prayer, and the prayer was so much of Bhagirath, for many hundreds of years he prayed. Then the Vishnu allowed Ganga to come, and Ganga was ready to come. Then he said to Bhagirath, I can go from heaven to the earth because of your prayer. But when I fall on the earth from heaven, the force will be so powerful, your earth will deviate from its axis. So how will you protect that? So how to protect mother? Then he says, ask Shiva. Shiva is the only one who can hold my power. That was a Mahadeva Shiva. Redeemer. Again, problem, then he is the one to redeem. And Shiva sat and Ganga came, and Shiva fell on Shiva's head. So Ganga thought that Shiva may be a little shaken, he will not go away, but he will be shaken. There was nothing on Shiva. Ganga lost its way on the mats of Shiva. And then she was not finding the way to get out. So powerful Ganga. How Shiva was great. Then Shiva put one of his mat of his locks, and then the Ganga started flowing. So Shiva's greatness is not called Mahadeva by, only for word's sake. He's really great God. Once Brahma and Vishnu were fighting. Who is greater? I am the creator. Said Vishnu said, I created you. They were fighting. Then among them fight, and then suddenly they saw a pillar of light. And they said, whoever can find the end of this pillar of light, he will be the greater God. Both, there's not the agreement. So Vishnu went down to find where is the end. Brahma went on his song up. And they were going, and Brahma couldn't find the end. Vishnu also couldn't find the end downstairs. And they came all defeated. And that was the light of Shiva, Jyotirlinga. That's why Shiva is called Jyotirlinga, the bright tower of light. So that's how Shiva is great God. He is supposed to be the Mahadeva. All others are Devata. Shiva is Mahadeva. So Shiva came, then Bhagirath led the Ganga to the Ganga Sagar, where they call, and there were the ashes of his ancestors so many generations ago. And they met Ganga, water met the ashes, and they were all redeemed. That's why the Redeemer Shiva. Wherever the problem of redeeming, it is Shiva that comes as the Redeemer. And Ganga, if we say mythologically, that came and redeemed the ancestors of Rama or Bhagirath. But the Ganga is the lifeline of India. It's not only holy and purifying, the symbol of purity, but also it's all the food grains that you find growing. All this, on its banks are the great cities that sprang up. So it is like the lifeline of whole of northern India is Ganga. So this Ganga coming is also by the Shiva's help. Now I told you about how Uma and Shiva Shakti happened. These true stories are there. Now Shiva as the incarnation, we find that all incarnations are the incarnations of Vishnu. Like all the Savatara, 24 incarnations, all those are said about the incarnation of Vishnu. But has Shiva any incarnation? Yes, Shankara is said to be Shiva's incarnation. Swami Vivekananda is said to be having the power of Shiva manifesting through him. Shiva Swarupa Swami, Etirada Swami Vivekananda, often people express him that way. So Shankaracharya, not incarnation in the sense of Vishnu having coming to world to guide it always, but Shiva's power also comes in that form. Shankara is said to be incarnation of Shiva himself, came as a human being in the form of Shankara to distribute knowledge, to protect the Sanatana Dharma, and to bring, to make it revive with the power of Shankara, who has been lost to other religions by, of course, the Buddhism and all that had come and become very powerful, and Shankara revived Hinduism. That is also redeeming power of Shiva for the Sanatana Dharma. In case of Sri Ramakrishna was born, as we all know, by the vision he had, his father, Khudiram, had in Gaya, that Gadadhara, or wielder of mace, that is Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, Vishnu. So he showed to him, and I want to be born as your son. And he said, I'm very poor, how will I serve you? Said Khudiram, Sri Ramakrishna's father. And he said, I will be pleased with your service. So I'm going to be born as your son. So when he came from Gaya, walking to his home in Kamarpur, and said to his wife that I saw such a dream. God will be born in our house. And she said, I also had a dream. I also had a vision. What was the vision? I had gone to Shiva temple in the village to worship, and the light from Shiva Linga came and entered in my womb. And after that I feel I have a baby in my womb. From Shiva it came. So Sri Ramakrishna we consider as the incarnation of not only of Vishnu but also of Shiva. And when Sri Ramakrishna was born, he was not to be found. Later on, where he went, he was born in an oven where they make the paddy, they make the rice grains from the paddy, boil that, and then there is an oven there, wooden oven. And there he had slipped, and there was no fire in the oven, there was only ashes. He had slipped there, and that midwife could not find. Later, and he was not crying also. And when she brought it out from there, it was all smeared in the ashes. Which is the deity that smears itself with ashes? It is Bhasmanga Ragaya. It's all Shiva, all Anga filled with Bhasma. That is the Shiva. So he, in very first day, first moment of his coming to this world, he put ashes on his body, symbolizing that incarnation of Shiva. And when it was asked that you do when he was a boy, and he had to do the role of Shiva dance. And he came to the audience, and he was merged in the thought of Shiva. He could not dance at all. He was just into trance, because he was Shiva. So this in Sri Ramakrishna we find Shiva Amsha also. And if you see our temple in Kamarpur, at the top, it doesn't have Vishnu's chakra, but it has Shiva's Shivalinga at the top of the temple of Sri Ramakrishna in Kamarpur, saying that Sri Ramakrishna has the power of Shiva, redeeming power of Shiva. That's why I say, Rudra yatte dakshinam mukham te namam pahi nityam. When we say that, which is that Shiva's south-facing, the face, protective south face. That is, when you think of that, what will that look like? It will look like Sri Ramakrishna. That is the south face of Rudra that has come to protect us. Now, Shiva is considered, you find the meditation Mahayogi Shiva that I said, it is the most popular form of Shiva that we find. And we find that he is in meditation, smearing ashes. With simple tiger skin as the loincloth. Nothing of the world. He is Mahadeva, greatest God, and nothing of the world he requires. He is all deep into meditation. But why snakes? Why snakes? Why bull? So bull is considered to be his chariot, his vehicle. So he doesn't require any horses or anything. The old bull who doesn't find any place to go and have to serve God, he accepts that. And the snakes in the garland, snake as the ornament in the arm, all is decorated that way. What does that mean? Snake is the sign of psychic power, psychic energy, the mind control. That symbolizes that Shiva has full control of his mind. That to symbolize that, snake is shown in the neck of Shiva. In our emblem of Ramakrishna Mission, if you see Swami Vivekananda get the Raja Yoga, there are 4 yogas: Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. So the Jnana Yoga symbolizes the rising sun, and the Karma Yoga is the wavy waters, and Bhakti Yoga is the lotus flower. What is the serpent that encircles the whole emblem? That is the sign of Raja Yoga, the energy that lies in us, coiled, that has to be manifested, that has to be it has to be manifested or cultivated so that we can have the control of the mind. So psychic energy symbol is snake. So that's how he wears that snake. Serpent symbolizes psychic energy. So this is the redeeming power of Shiva. Now it is said that the song was Varanasi Purapatim Bhaja Vishwanatha. So Shiva is always in the cremation ground, and Parvati's father was very sad. Whom did she get married? And she doesn't have any place. Shiva roams in the cremation ground and lives in the Himalaya. Nothing is there. Now Shiva created Varanasi. It was there, Anandavan, and that became his city of Varanasi became his kingdom. Now when Shiva became the Lord of Varanasi, Varanasi Pura, Pati means Lord, Varanasi Pura means Varanasi city. And this Uma or Parvati became Annapurna, feeding all her people. She is the one responsible to feed. Generally, the symbol of who provides us food is Lakshmi. But there is Annapurna, is the Shiva Uma, that is the Annapurna that provides food to all. So she has become the queen and the mother of Parvati was very happy. I hear that you have become now queen of Varanasi. Now Varanasi is supposed to be the place where whoever dies, last breath, and he gets mukti. All his cycle of birth is culminated there. No more next birth. All done. Otherwise it is said you have to have the Brahma Jnana, your ego has to completely merge and it should go, and you have to know that you are that Supreme Brahman, no ego remaining, then only you will get Brahma Jnana, you will be merged with Brahman. But people, and Varanasi is said to be such holy place, Shiva's place, that where if you die there, you get emancipation, you are redeemed, Shiva redeems. That is written in the scriptures. Now it was not known how does this happen, how Shiva redeems. And not only human beings, anybody dying in Varanasi is said to become liberated. Any animal, any insect even will be redeemed. That is the glory of Varanasi, they say. Holy Mother also asked, Mother, anybody dying in Varanasi gets redeemed? I said, yes. This mosquito, this also will be redeemed? I said, yes, anybody dying in Varanasi will be redeemed. And that is written. So Sri Ramakrishna was once going in Manikarna, going on Ganga by boat, and just in front of Manikarnika he saw that some dead bodies were brought. That is the place where all the time you will find fire burning. Never there is a time when fire doesn't burn. Whole 24 hours some bodies are brought and the fire is always burning. Because people come from all places to die there, or even the dead bodies are brought there. If people have not died there, have died other place, they just come to Manikarnika for cremation, would they be liberated? He said, yes. Oh, that is also possible. Then how? Sri Ramakrishna saw in a vision, suddenly he saw fire was, that dead body was there on the bank of Ganga, fire was getting ready, and he saw that Kali and Shiva both came, Divine Mother and Shiva. And they were near that person, that dead body. And the Kali, Divine Mother, was opening all the knots of his karma and making it loose and gone. And Shiva was giving Taraka Brahma Nama. He was giving Taraka Brahma. Taraka means which takes you across the Bhavasagara. And person was being liberated. And Sri Ramakrishna was going to fall with this reason. Someone held him on the boat. So that's how he found that both Divine Mother and Shiva are there to liberate the person, whoever dies there, or even whose body is cremated there. So we believe that if we die other place, cremated other place, even if our ashes are put in the holy waters of Ganga near Manikarnika, we will be redeemed. That sort of power we think has the redeeming power of Shiva. So at the end I would like to say from Swami Kripamayananda, very nice paragraph, concluding paragraph he has said. Shiva, dressed in tiger skin, with a trident fixed on the ground, surrounded by the snow of the Himalayas, deeply absorbed in meditation, is a favorite image for meditation among the Hindus. He is especially the ideal and inspirer of sannyasis, as different from Vishnu, who has always the goddess of prosperity to serve him at his feet. Shiva, on the contrary, is a beggar of beggars, the king among renouncers, who has renounced all and hence has all. He is the conqueror of death in two senses. Firstly, he killed god of death who wanted to take away Shiva's devotee, that Markandeya. Secondly, on Shiva's breast dances Kali, time. Kali, who has death in her hands. Side by side, with these severe aspects, Shiva represents very pleasing aspects as the cosmic dancer and the great lover of music, as a husband capable of deep affection and attachment, as a God who is easily pleased and who, when pleased, showers benedictions. Above all, we shall remember that serene face of his when he was drinking the poison that would have destroyed the world, the serenity with which he constructs in the midst of destruction. That is the redeeming power of Shiva, the God of Redeemer, that we had yesterday observed Shivaratri with worship to Shiva, with the songs and chantings and the devotees coming and offering water and bilwa leaves, that I said Shiva is so different from other gods who have a special choice, very flowers of choice or food of choice. Shiva doesn't need anything. Shiva anything wild, as Sri Krishna says in the Gita, Patram Puspam Phalantoyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. Whoever gives me, offers me flower, leaf, water or fruit with devotion, that is Bhaktya, then I accept those. So Shiva is that. Devotion has to be there. And means Shiva, some stories are there, even devotion is not there. There was one Chanda, hunter. He went to forest to have hunted boar. Didn't find boar, it was already night. To save himself from the wild animals, he climbed a tree and wanted to pass night there. And whole night, how will he show? He may fall asleep, so he thought of doing something. So he started plucking the leaves of that tree and throwing down to just keep himself busy. No devotion. Then he had some, after doing a lot of that, after some time he thought his hand will become like a turtle, a lot of this dust of the feet. And then he brought this water and washed his hand and put there. And lo, there comes Shiva and says, I am pleased with your worship. Below was a Shiva linga. And the tree was Bel tree. And all bilwa leaves went there, and he had brought some water from the Ganga river, and Ganga water went there, and it was Shiva linga fell, and Shiva became pleased because someone put Ganga water and Shiva on, bilwa leaves on his head, on his Shiva linga. And what do you want? I am pleased with your worship. Even no bhakti. Sri Krishna wants at least bhakti, bhaktya. Here no even bhakti. Do something, just pour water and bell leaves, the wild bell leaves. And Shiva is pleased. That is the Ashutosha Shiva. That is the, not only he saves us from death, he saves us from ignorance. When we say Shiva, third eye, he became angry, third eye opened, and Kamadeva was destroyed. It is symbolic. When you have a spiritual eye, there are all this passion and lust, they are all gone, they become destroyed in every case. That is represented as third eye of Shiva, which is the eye of knowledge. When knowledge comes, then this worldly enjoyment becomes insignificant, all become like the ash of the cremation ground. Says Sri Ramakrishna, when the knowledge, love for God comes, this Rambha and Tilottama look like the ash of the cremation ground. Says Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel, those you have read, you must be remembering. So that is the third eye of knowledge. Knowledge has gone. Now the worldly attraction has gone. Vairagya has already come. And Sri Ramakrishna defined, asked him, what is Vairagya? He have said, Vairagya means dislike for, no attraction for worldly things. Sri Ramakrishna says that is half dislike for worldly, non-attachment or no attraction for the worldly things. Other half of definition remains. Other half is love for God. No attraction for the worldly things, attraction for God. That is called Vairagya. So Shiva, third eye, when it opens, we have Vairagya. When Vairagya comes, we become so rich with spiritual wealth.
all other wealth becomes insignificant. Tuchcha. Tuchcha comes from the husk of paddy. No value. No value. Only rice grain is value. So like that becomes, everything becomes tuchcha, and God alone becomes valuable. That all is the redeeming power of Shiva. Shiva the Redeemer. When prayed, he becomes happy quickly. And when he prayed, he can make us free from death. That's why Mrityunjaya. Because how will we be free from death? Will we know death? Death will be a body. We will realize I am not body, I am self, I am Atman. I do not die, that knowledge will dawn when Shiva's redeeming power has grace upon us. We pray to Shiva on this holy time, that when we are remembering, that may we all be freed from the fear of death and realize our true nature. Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pustivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Namah Shivaya.